This week on Marketplace.
I just told you it works for me.
Startling new revelations about Canada's #1 selling cold and flu remedy.
Clinically proven Cold FX.
I would think that any product that I ingest, I would not be anticipating getting extra fecal material.
The dirty secret insiders reveal for the first time.
It had that bacteria in it.
And claims never approved.
Stop the flu in its tracks with Cold FX.
What scientific evidence is there?
On hidden camera, pharmacists giving wrong advice.
It does work better if you take it right at the beginning of the cold.
We track down the woman behind the brand.
I'm Erica Johnson from Marketplace. We've been trying to meet with you to talk about Cold FX.
We're in Edmonton, looking for the inventor of Canada's biggest selling cold and flu remedy. We've got some serious questions about Cold FX. So while we wait outside this hotel, there's a whole lot of spin going on in a different hotel in London, Ontario. An event sponsored by the makers of Cold FX. Can you tell? There's even a Canadian icon here. It's a Cold FX luncheon in honor of hockey mums.
258229. Yes, in the back.
They have a Don Cherry coffee cup.
Please welcome Don Cherry.
Don Cherry's a true believer, part of the marketing machine that makes Cold FX so popular.
Cold FX, it's a beauty.
I started to take Cold FX, and I took it for about 4 or 5 months, and it worked. It really does work.
He tells the crowd he's not the only fan.
I know the players, they feel a cold coming on, they take about 10, and it really works.
This cold and flu season, be prepared.
The ads sure sound impressive.
Stop them in their tracks with Cold FX.
And it's not cheap, about $70 for this bottle of 150 pills. You gotta wonder just what makes this product so special. From the start, Cold FX co-creator Jacqueline Shan latches on to a brilliant marketing idea. Take a natural product, ginseng, and get some science behind it.
We're using really the drug testing model in the testing laboratory and the clinical trials, so it's very unusual in this industry.
Shan commissions actual clinical trials, randomized, controlled, double-blind trials, just like a pharmaceutical drug. Unheard of when it comes to natural health products. The research pays off.
There is still no cure for the common cold, but a Canadian company claims it might have the next best thing.
But to make a claim on the package, Shan needs Health Canada approval. She applies, but the approval's taking too long.
Presence in the gallery of well-known hockey personality and commentators.
So Shan's MP invites her and her Cold FX booster to Parliament Hill. They have lunch with Tory MPs to try to speed things up. Even meet with Prime Minister Stephen Harper. 3 months later, Health Canada approves a license for Cold FX to help reduce the frequency, severity, and duration of cold and flu symptoms by boosting the immune system. Sales and company stock go through the roof. So how does that success play out rinkside? To find out, we head to a hockey game in St. Catharines, Ontario.
Who wants to take our cold and flu quiz?
We find some takers in the hallway.
What do you take when you feel a cold coming on?
We have taken echinacea, Cold FX.
How have you taken it?
At the onset of the first symptoms.
When do you think you should start taking this? The first sign of a cold.
I think once you feel a cold coming on, then you should start.
But does the science really support that? We head to Toronto's St. Michael's Hospital to meet a clinical trials expert, Dr. Andreas Lopakis. We ask him about the claim of immediate relief.
And it says right here, stops colds and flus in their tracks.
Right.
If you look at the back, recommended dose for immediate relief. Is there any research that's been done showing that Cold FX helps stop colds in their tracks?
Certainly in all the clinical trials I've looked at, there's no such evidence. They studied patients with Cold FX to prevent flus. I didn't see any studies to show whether Cold FX works or not in people that that notice a flu coming and then take Cold FX.
That's right, the pitch? To stop a cold in its tracks. But all the published clinical trials looked at something else. Taking Cold FX every day for 2 to 6 months to prevent a cold.
Most people take Cold FX to try to nip a cold in the bud. What scientific evidence is there?
None.
None. And yet that's what it's being marketed for.
Correct.
Does anyone know there's no published research on taking Cold FX when you feel aches and sniffles coming on?
They've just put it on this package. What do you think about that?
I probably wouldn't take it if it hasn't been researched.
I think they put it on there to help make you buy it.
Are you surprised by that?
I guess I am, because I thought that there are regulations against that in Canada for packagings. So I'm surprised to see that that's allowed.
In fact, it's not allowed. Health Canada tells us Cold FX has never been authorized for immediate relief, the claim that's made the company millions. It wants corrective actions. The company tells us it's been working on phasing out that old packaging for the past 5 years. To find out if even pharmacists have bought the spin, we head into some of the big-name drugstores in Vancouver and the Greater Toronto area with hidden cameras. We rely on pharmacists for the right advice. So, we ask pharmacists what they recommend at the first sign of a cold.
If you just started experiencing symptoms, you heard of Cold FX.
You can try Cold FX.
There is Cold FX.
Over and over, pharmacists recommend taking Cold FX at the first sign of a cold.
It does work better if you take it right at the beginning of the cold.
Well, the minute you feel it coming, you take it.
So take it as soon as you feel like the cold is here.
Remember, there's no published evidence for that. So, what proof do they say there is?
So that one might.
Has that been proven to?
Yes, it is.
They have found it does help.
Yes, it's proven, yes.
Armed with our findings, we head to Ottawa, to the Canadian Pharmacists Association, to meet with President Jody Scrobot.
If Cold FX isn't licensed to address the first signs of a cold, why are pharmacists recommending it for that?
I would stand by Health Canada's indication for the product and expect that that would be what pharmacists should be recommending or advising their patients. Obviously, if there's some further education that needs to be done around that, that's what I would like to see happen.
You've got to be prepared.
So what about the claims on the bottle that are approved by Health Canada?
Its active ingredient is clinically proven to help reduce the frequency, severity, and duration of cold and flu symptoms by boosting your immune system.
To boost the cred behind Cold FX, last year the makers released the results of the largest ever trial conducted on its cold and flu remedy. Don Cherry promotes the findings while getting a flu shot. To find out if the latest trial and all the major published trials back up the claims Cold FX can make, we contact the U of T's Faculty of Pharmacy, commission an analysis of that research. In St. Catharines, we reveal the conclusions to our hockey fans.
Now, are you guys ready to take a little quiz about colds? Right. True or false, Cold FX has been clinically proven to reduce the severity of a cold. One, two, three. True. And the answer is false.
That's right. What the U of T analysis finds, insufficient evidence Cold FX reduces the severity of a cold.
That's pretty surprising. I thought it would be, if it doesn't help with short term, it would at least reduce it, kind of.
Next.
Okay, true or false? Cold FX has been proven to reduce the duration of a cold. False, true. And the answer is false.
What our commissioned analysis finds, insufficient evidence that Cold FX reduces the duration of a cold.
So it's really not that great for you.
Well, how about the product's third claim, frequency, that Cold FX prevents you from getting a cold in the first place? Our U of T analysis finds Cold FX is effective for preventing colds. Sort of. Wait for this. We head to Edmonton's University of Alberta, to meet infectious disease expert Dr. Lenora Saxinger.
Hi, Erica. Nice to meet you.
Saxinger does her own read of all the studies.
Were you very impressed by the findings of this latest, largest clinical trial?
I was impressed that they did the trial. I don't think that I was highly impressed by the actual amount of benefit that the trial showed.
Looking at all those 4 studies combined, what did you find?
Risk reduction of 15%, which translates into either 17 people taking it for 1 year to prevent one cold, or 1 person taking it for 17 cold and flu seasons to prevent one cold.
1 person would have to take cold effects for 17 cold and flu seasons to prevent 1 cold?
Yeah, that's based on the combined data from all the subjects in all the trials.
And what do you think about that?
How many cold and flu seasons would 1 person have to take cold effects to prevent 1 cold? I've got my answer. 1, 2, 3. 2 seasons, 1 season. The answer is 17. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't be buying it.
No.
No. It won't be in my cabinet.
Coming up.
I'm not interested what scientists say because scientists, so what?
And our story takes a surprising turn. We dig up a cold effects dirty secret.
The foil seals were popping, so we knew something was wrong.
We're putting Canada's #1 selling cold and flu remedy to the test. And so far, it's not doing so well.
True. And the answer is false. It's a maple leaf.
Now, we wonder about this logo.
What does proudly Canadian mean to you? That it's been manufactured in Canada.
It gives a perception of quality, I think.
Usually manufactured in Canada.
And is that important to you?
Well, if I'm looking at herbal ingredients where they come from for that product, it would be.
It was actually made in Canada, or if it was in China, Japan, or Thailand.
So where is the powder inside Cold Effects capsules processed? The company says it's a trade secret, with the bulk of the process occurring in Canada. But we do some digging and discover that powder that is Cold Effects is actually processed here, in China. We learn this factory is one of 2 here that turn the raw ginseng into Cold Effects powder and then ship it to Canada. Back here, the powder is put in gel capsules and bottled.
This was processed overseas but put into capsules here in Canada. Would you consider that a Canadian product?
For me, it wouldn't, because there are processing requirements, and you don't know what they're using to process it.
Turns out she's on to something. While looking into the claims, we track down former employees and discover a dirty secret.
It was a massive failure.
We agree to protect their identity. They're worried about the repercussions of speaking out.
Everybody in the company knew.
You're looking at a product few have ever seen. From 2008, one that never made it to store shelves. A liquid version of Cold Effects. Trouble is, when they put the Cold Effects powder that came from China that year into the sugary syrup,
the foil seals were popping, so we knew something was wrong.
Causing the problem? Insiders and company documents say a bacteria, Enterococcus faecium, multiplying in the sugary syrup.
When you have a huge amount, it overwhelms the preservative, kills it, and then you've got runaway growth.
It's basically a soil and fecal bug.
Infectious disease expert Lenora Saxinger.
It's definitely one of the more common ones that can cause disease, doesn't have to, but can cause disease in humans.
The product is a bust. 375,000 bottles, packaged, labeled, ready to go, have to be destroyed. But what to do with all the contaminated powder left over and other batches from that year?
They tested it as well, and it failed on their system too.
Relatively significant levels of bacteria. Jacqueline Shan and others are told.
She quarantined that all and wouldn't release it. She did the right things sometimes.
A pill I was taking should definitely not have ephesium in it. I don't think it would necessarily pose an imminent danger, but I would think that any product that I ingest, I would not be anticipating getting extra fecal material with what I was taking in.
And Health Canada says the presence of ephesium in a finished natural health product would be unacceptable. But a top official suggests our commercial product with low-level Enterococcus detection should present an acceptable safety profile to our consumers. So, what do?
They went ahead and released it all.
Without alerting Health Canada against regulations. We sure have questions. Cold Effects has just been bought out by Valiant, a pharmaceutical giant. They won't give us an interview. So, we tracked down Cold Effects co-creator Jacqueline Chan.
Hi, Jacqueline Chan. Hi. I'm Erica Johnson from Marketplace. We've been trying to meet with you to talk about Cold Effects. Do you have a few minutes?
I just did talk and Cold Effects there.
Yeah, we didn't hear you talk inside. I'm just wondering about this product here. It says
you know
on
what?
the box.
Right now the company bought by Valiant, so I'm not allowed to make any.
But you still
public
are the
speech.
chief scientific officer for them. So wondering if you can explain why it says on the box, take for immediate relief, but the product isn't proven to work that way.
You know what? I haven't. You know, why don't we contact the company? Because I'm not really allowed to make a comment.
But you know about the claims and the marketing. You helped start this product.
But I'm still
why does it say take for immediate relief? It's not proven for that.
No, thank you. I have
Isn't that misleading to people? They think they can take this at the first sign of a cold?
We should contact the company, and we have a formal.
But you haven't done any published clinical trials on taking for immediate relief, and that's what it says on
if
the
you
box.
contact company, and not everything is published, so.
Well, we've looked at the clinical trials. We've had experts look at it, and they say basically this product doesn't do a good job of preventing colds and flus. Do you think you're misleading people with this product?
No, we're not intending misleading people.
No?
No, thank you. I have to go.
I'm wondering too, it says proudly Canadian. How is this product proudly Canadian if it's actually processed in China?
You know what, you really need to contact company. I'm not in a position talking to.
Suddenly, the brains behind the brand has nothing to say. Coming up, someone who has lots to say. It says here on Cold Effects.
When's the China coming up?
It's coming up.
Oh, it's China. This is going to, I was wondering, I thought you'd get to China right away.
We're on the trail of Cold Effects. We learn in 2008 the company releases pills containing bacteria without telling Health Canada. Remember, that Cold Effects powder is now processed here, in China. We get our hands on an audit conducted 5 years ago, warning the company not to use this Chinese factory because it barely meets Canadian standards. In general, the facility is quite dirty, leading to greater potential for cross-contamination, and pointing out the potential contamination risks associated with open windows to the outdoor environment. 5 years later, looks like the windows are still open. We ask to see inside, but they won't let us in. As for that bacteria in the powder, after the pills are on the shelf, Health Canada gets a tip about fecal contamination in Cold Effects. Of all the product on store shelves across the country, they test 7 bottles. 7 bottles? They don't find that ephesium, but they do find E. hermani, a relative of E. coli, but the level found presented the lowest risk to health and safety of Canadians, so Health Canada allowed it. As such, no recall was initiated. So what about that unacceptable ephesium our insiders filled us in on? The company finally admits there was bacteria, but in an email says it was actually benign E. hermani, initially misidentified as ephesium. Misidentified? Insiders tell us 3 different labs identified the bacteria as ephesium. And check it out, do these 2 bacteria look the same to you?
They're basically totally different bacteria.
infectious disease expert Dr. Lenora Saxinger.
They look different under the microscope.
Confusing? Not for everyone. At a hockey rink north of Toronto, we meet up with the product's #1 booster, Don Cherry.
Nice to see you.
Coming in today.
And get this.
First of all, I don't work for them anymore.
Yeah, what happened there?
Well, no, they changed hands, so I have no axe to grind. In fact, I'm a little ticked off at them. I put them on the map, and when they said, here's the letter, give me a Dear John, didn't even send me a box of Cold Effects.
So, is he still a fan?
I take it faithfully every day. I take 4 a day, and then when I feel a cold coming on, I'll take about like the hockey players, I take 10. And I guarantee you'll get rid of the cold.
So what do you think then when I tell you that when experts look at the clinical trials, they
Nothing.
say it barely does
Garbage.
anything?
Garbage.
You
just
toss
garbage.
that out the window?
Garbage. I go on the people, and these people believe in it. Doctors and scientists and stuff like that. I mean, come on.
We tell him the powder is processed in China.
No, I didn't know it was made in China till you said it, but I wish it had been made in Canada.
Are you disappointed that they're claiming it's proudly Canadian?
Yeah, I would have liked it to be in Canada.
And about the bacteria in those pills back in 2008.
Were you ever told about that?
No, I wasn't telling me.
But you're the face behind Cold Effects. They never told you anything about
No,
this?
they never told me.
It doesn't change his mind.
When you look at the actual reports, what you're doing is taking Cold Effects based on blind faith.
I just told you it works for me.
Some people are true believers. Why do they think this product works if the clinical trials don't show that?
If they felt they were getting a cold and they started taking it and then they felt better the next day, they would attribute it to the medication, not to any other thing that might have happened.
Saxinger's got a tried and true cold prevention trick. This.
So this is more effective than taking Cold Effects?
Based on the published studies, yes.
It's a lot cheaper too.
Yes.
Join Tom Harrington and me every Friday night at 8:30 in Newfoundland on Marketplace.